Grammy-nominated singer Jason DeFord, or better known as Jelly Roll, urged lawmakers on Thursday to pass anti-fentanyl legislation and invoked his own past with substance abuse in an effort to help save lives. Jelly Roll testified in front of the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs as Ranking Member Senator Tim Scott continued to push for the passage of his bill, the Fentanyl Eradication and Narcotics Deterrence Off-Fentanyl Act, which is also referred to as the FEND-Fentanyl Act.
My name is Jason D4, but to most I am known as Jelly Roll. It is important to establish earlier that I am a musician and that I have no political alliance. I am neither Democrat nor Republican. In fact, because of my past, my right to vote has been restricted. Thus far, I have never paid attention to a political race in my life. Ironically, I think that makes me the perfect person to speak about this because fentanyl transcends partisanship and ideology, gentlemen and women. This is a totally different problem. And I was speaking outside to the media, and I gave them a statistic that said 190 people a day overdose and die every single day in the United States of America. That is about a 737 plane. That's what about a 737 aircraft can carry. Could you imagine the national media attention it would get if they were reporting that a plane was crashing every single day and killing 190 people? But because it's 190 drug addicts, we don't feel that way. Because America has been known to bully and shame drug addicts instead of dealing and trying to understand what the actual root of the problem is with that. But the sad news is that narrative is changing too, because the statistics say that in all likelihood, almost every person in this room has lost a friend, family member, or colleague to the disease known as addiction.
The 39-year-old rapper turned country singer has been outspoken about his history with drugs, having struggled with addiction, and at one point even dealing drugs himself. Jelly Roll was one of 3 witnesses who testified during Thursday's hearing, with the other 2 being the president of the Fraternal Order of Police, Patrick Yose, and former DEA agent Christopher J. Urban. The bill was unanimously passed by the Senate Banking Committee last June, but was blocked from being included in the National Defense Authorization Act, along with other financial legislation by Representative Patrick McHenry last December, in an effort to include McHenry's own cryptocurrency legislation, which also didn't make it. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration estimates that 6 out of 10 fentanyl-laced fake pills may contain a fatal dose of fentanyl. Nearly 110,000 people died from a drug overdose in 2022. The FEND-Fentanyl Act focuses on sanctions and anti-money laundering practices in an attempt to target China and Mexico's illicit fentanyl supply chain. Jelly Roll would say that he believes drug dealing is a law enforcement issue, but that drug addiction should be considered a mental health issue, calling for access to better care, treatment, and resources for those struggling.
I believed when I sold drugs genuinely that selling drugs was a victimless crime. I truly believe that, y'all. My father always told me what doesn't get you in the wash will get you in the rinse. Now I have a 15-year-old daughter whose mother is a drug addict. Every day I get to look in the eyes of a victim in my household of the effects of drugs. Every single day. And every single day I have to wonder, if me and my wife, if today will be the day that I have to tell my daughter that her mother became a part of the national statistic. History repeats itself, gentlemen. Even in the 1990s, crack cocaine had long made its way into my middle lower class neighborhood. And at that moment, even as a teenager, you could have never convinced me in that moment that there would be a far bigger problem on the horizon in the form of a pharmaceutical drug. And then I watched opioids and Oxycontin burst onto the scene. I'm here to tell y'all that fentanyl is going to make the Sackler family look like saints. And I want to let y'all sit with that for a second. It is time for us to be proactive and not reactive. We were reactive with crack, we were reactive with opioids, and y'all are taking the first step at somebody in Senate finally being proactive. I truly believe in my heart that this bill will stop the supply and can help stop the supply of fentanyl. But in part of being proactive, gentlemen and women and ladies, I have to be frank and tell y'all that if we don't talk to the other side of Capitol Hill and stop the demand, we are going to spin our tires in the mud. Y'all are taking the first step, but I encourage you to take it outside of this room and you take it to your colleagues and your constituents and you give them the most that you can.
As the future of the bill remains uncertain, with no forward movement in the House, and as fentanyl continues to concern public health and government officials, Jelly Roll pleaded with lawmakers to address the growing crisis. After failing to be included in the National Defense Authorization Act, the bill has made no forward movement in the House, and there have been no reports regarding its future. Only time will tell what will happen, but there is some people speaking out against Jelly Roll, saying that it's a bad bill. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and remember, if it's more interesting, you can find it here.
Stand here as a regular member of society. I am a stupid songwriter, y'all, but I have firsthand witnessed this in a way most people have not. I encourage y'all to not only pass this bill, but I encourage you to bring it up where it matters, at the kitchen table.